To try and jam a lot of stuff into the last 12 minutes of the show, we'll bring on Robert Koss from the Guam Federation of Teachers. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning.
How's the phone lines over there?
Sounds really good. Actually, it's kind of slowed down today.
We just want to start with, what can you tell us about public health nurses who are not getting paid what they're supposed to be getting paid? We're hearing not getting paid overtime. The COVID differential is all funny business. There was supposed to be a protest yesterday. And we spoke with Dr. Manglotny of Public Health this morning. We had asked her, were these nurses part of GFT? And her response was, they are now.
Yeah, that's how it happens. Once they start feeling disrespected by the administration, they start looking for, some avenue to pursue relief. And
Robert, can you speak up just a little bit? You're coming in kind of low.
I'm sorry. So yeah, the nurses did come to us for help, and so they are members now. That is correct.
And what's the nature of their grievance?
It's pretty much the same as all the nurses. They receive base pay. They got their differential pay yesterday. I saw a couple of those checks, $160. That's the difference between staying home with your family and kids or working 8 weeks. $160. So they were very insulted and upset by that. And, of course, they don't feel that is just or fair compensation for the work that they have put in. Our nurses are due overtime, and the double pay actually falls into the overtime clause in the rules. They got their differential pay. Night differential is not being paid.
How is all this happening, Robert? I mean, these are things that they're supposed to pay. Aren't you supposed to pay night differential? How does this administration skip around the obligations that they have to the working people?
I think it's a matter of priorities. Where do you put public employees? I know you were talking with the former governor, and he talked about reducing pay under these circumstances. This administration, they only paid a portion of what the rules require. Where do the public employees fall in the governor's priorities? We know there's money. We heard from FEMA, 75% reimbursable. So the governor's complaint of $36 million is down to $9 million. But she still doesn't want to pay it. So what are her priorities?
Mm-hmm. Can you you said $160 for 8 weeks?
Man, we had
differential pay?
We had Dr. Manglotny said one guy got $40 and he threw it back in public health's face and said, no, I'm insulted.
Yeah, the nurses called me. They wanted to do the same thing. They wanted to give it back. I told them, no, go spend it and we'll sue for the rest.
How many nurses are we talking? And are they from public health or are they from all over?
All the nurses are being treated the same. They're all getting just base pay. They've been denied overtime. I just read the governor's executive order 2020-03, which authorized overtime. So we have the authorization there, and yet, the overtime wasn't paid.
I just want to go back to the point that the governor has brought up during the pandemic, that she's a nurse. How does this look, Robert, when we have a nurse running the show and the nurses are getting the shaft from one of their own?
Well, you're setting me up, Chris. In my mind, in my opinion, I think this is crazy business. Where do we not appreciate our COVID heroes? The people who went out there on the front line and probably did among the best in the world at containing the COVID pandemic virus, right? We're having a hard time even identifying anybody who has the virus today. Every time they run tests, we come back with no positive cases. Only 5 deaths. I think our numbers are very low when you compare them to, the national numbers that are being reported. So we must have done a great job. Our nurses and first responders, outstanding work, and yet, there really isn't any appreciation here for what they've done.
What other, aside from nurses, what other agencies and employees have reached out to GFT since yesterday?
Well, law enforcement is a big one. They also felt very unappreciated, disrespected. The nurses are so frustrated that some of them are, I'd say, on the verge of tears, but actually did break down into tears when they saw how little appreciation they were actually getting for the work they did. You got your law enforcement, your firefighters. We signed up 60 people on our lawsuit yesterday. We'll continue signing up public employees, essential employees who would like to participate. We'll do that for at least 2 weeks before we file.
Did you say 60 or 16?
60.
Robert, is there going to be any effort at all? I'm just not sure how. Does the administration have someone who deals with GFT? I mean, maybe a liaison or something? Because it just really seems like there's a major lack of communication.
Yes, the governor designated Tony Babauta as our direct point of contact.
Oh, God.
So I don't know.
Robert, what was the relationship like, though, with Tony being your direct contact with the administration?
I'm going to say very political. You never know. You go in there and, I feel so cheap. They tell me what I want to hear and then get rid of me, So even though they tell me something, it doesn't always happen that way.
So you're basically saying that if you guys go to Adelup, I think the way to do this is to go with the protest thing. What happened yesterday? We heard that there was going to be a protest.
Well, yeah, I saw two different communications on that. One said a protest, one said a walkout.
Right.
Because these people, these nurses, are affiliated with the GFT, we're actually prohibited from walkouts or any kind of work stoppers. So we're like, no. If you're affiliated with us, don't do this. We did not advise you to do this. And so I think that everybody kind of backed off on everything at that point. Now, we can go down to Marine Drive and, wave signs that say support your nurses, support your COVID heroes.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. I think the messages wires got crossed.
Well, that message, wires may have got crossed, but I think the message that the nurses are getting right now is pretty loud and clear. So, again, is there going to be an effort before you guys file this lawsuit to maybe go down and plead with the governor? Maybe they do a little nurse-to-nurse thing.
Well, when I was at the governor's office, I do know that they monitor K57 and KUAM very closely on their talk shows. So even this discussion now is reaching out to the governor to find a solution. And again, one of the solutions we offered is that these people were denied paid leave, time to spend with their family. If you can't afford the money, give them back paid leave. Give them the annual leave. That's what they were denied. So let's give it to them now. But we know that the money is there. And federal funds can be used for this purpose. So why even do anything? Why not just pay them?
Good point, Robert. My mind is just on this whole thing with the homeless and then this, and then you got, these nurses can't even get what they're owed, but we're catering meals for political hires.
Yeah. I saw the governor's $117 million
budget breakdown?
Yeah, budget breakdown. I don't think she'd have any troubles going back and scraping $9 million out of that, rework some of those numbers. Some of those numbers seem a little excessive.
What about on the legislature's end? Have you heard any feedback on the push for the override on, I think it's 324?
Right. I've been asking the legislature to step up. Nobody from the legislature has contacted me. If there is any legislation moving forward in this direction, I am not aware.
Right. Wow.
I know Senator St. Augustine was waiting for an opinion from the Attorney General's office, and last I checked yesterday, they hadn't received anything. But have you heard anything? I plan on following up today.
Yeah, I'm very hopeful they'll come through with something. The AG's office, I think we discussed this last time, I think should be in the business of upholding and enforcing Guam law, not siding with the administration or defending their position. So, what does the law provide? I'd love to see what the AG has to say about that.
Well, we're trying to find out, Robert. Thank you again. We got your number handy. You're kind of on speed dial these days.
Yeah, I'll take your call anytime.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Wash your hands.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay. Be safe.
It's 10 o'clock. That's Robert Koss, of course, Guam Federation Teachers Field Rep. It's been a tough show. A lot of bad news this morning. A lot of WTF news. A lot of head scratchers. A lot of eyebrow raisers. With that being said, we're going to end this show on a good note.
All right.
Okay, so let's bring